That's good. Yeah, that's awesome. It's perfect.
Cool. Yeah, I got that. I can hear you now because I was like, man, I don't know. It's quiet.
I didn't say anything yet.
Okay.
Get into the
Cool.
app. I had tabbed out of it.
So yeah, man. I see you was going on Facebook. I don't know if you want to just go right in on those posts that you put about the
Um,
Smishmorphin. Remember that? Do you remember that Smishmorphin? Or you remember that?
no, what's that from?
That's from a movie. The guy was like, "We don't say abortion," so he was like, "Okay, Smishmorphin." Yeah.
I wasn't even really going to talk about that because I know everybody's going to jump down my throat. I was talking about like what comes before that of like, you know what I mean? The choice, you know, more than anybody, the choice to release it. And everyone kept coming at me acting like I was talking anything about rape. They're like, what about rape? And I'm like, dude, I'm not talking about rape. I'm talking about consensual sex. Like there's people act like there's no consensual sex going on out here where people are accidentally having kids. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. I'm just saying we can do a little bit better with the guy from the guy's side because the guy makes the choice to release, and then that's what you're, you know, playing with.
All right, yeah. Like, I feel like the only time it should be appropriate is if it's rape or it's incest or the doctors they're saying like, yo,
See,
you're gonna die if you have this baby. You're gonna have a miscarriage. Like the same way, like if you have gangrene and they're like, yo, you gotta cut this arm off, man, or the whole thing's gonna die. So I feel like in those circumstances, like medical emergencies, those are all medical emergencies, really, to me. So I feel like,
that's what I don't understand why they haven't come together and just came up with that conclusion of all right, if everyone the whole argument is that it's for the rape and incest cases, how come we don't allow it like that, right?
yeah,
But then everyone has then there's the discussion of well, this kid, so I shouldn't have to force that kid to be born. And then that's where I'm talking about like, okay, I don't even want to have this discussion. I'm just saying you guys shouldn't have had that even happen. And then you control himself, you shouldn't have said it at all.
yeah. I mean, it's like your body, your choice. Like you made a bunch of choices before you got to the abortion, like the baby murdering choice.
A lot of people have immature like sex because they're like not making a decision from a mature mindset. They're just kind of haphazardly doing it and slinging the shit all over the place. Like,
And that's why I feel like it's parasites, man. The parasites are like, I want another host. I want another host. And one way or another, it's like, all right, either we're gonna get another host, we're gonna create this baby out of just like your haphazard pregnancy, or we're gonna get this chick to kill her baby, and then she basically herself is not gonna be able to live with her, so then we just get to eat her alive.
that's wild.
That's what I think. I think it's just mainly parasites, like because that's like their whole agenda, pretty much. The parasite agenda is just like as many hosts as I can get. I mean, like, can you really be mad at a thing that's what it is and what it does? I mean, it's like I don't expect a tiger to change its stripes. Like, if this is what parasites do, people need to be
Right.
conscious of it. Huh?
Like they have a job and most people are hiring them. You know what I mean? But they don't even know.
Yeah. A lot of it is just because their dads just suck, man. Honestly, I'm sorry, man. Like a lot of people's dads are just not that they're like as a being like they're just like invalid or whatever, but as far as the example that they left for their daughters. Because like if your dad was like, yeah, man, don't be with no dude that doesn't control his semen. Why would you be with a dude that's not in touch with his semen and his circulation and his breath and he's aware of that? Like if you're exemplifying that as a man, as a father, then the daughter she's not like you don't even have to say anything. You can just live. Your energy is going to be different, and then like you do. I mean, at certain points you are going to have to say stuff. You're going to have the sex conversation with your daughter, but like if that was the case, if there was just more fathers out here like that, then the women wouldn't be so just kind of lost, like in a sense, as far as like what is a
Women
quality
go out
male.
and on what guys want. That is a weird conversation if you think about it to have from like a father to a daughter. I think, from my point of view, I don't know how I would approach that. I'm also have not planned on having a kid anytime soon, so I haven't thought about having to have that conversation, but it definitely should happen.
Yeah, like if you're gonna have a kid, like you should already understand that at some point this kid's probably gonna have sex. So you're gonna have to have a real conversation. If you're afraid to have a real conversation, then you're not ready to have a kid.
I feel like ejaculation should be part of the whole safe sex talk.
Yeah, it should
Yeah.
be. It should be the prime argument or discussion. Really, it should be the main discussion.
Right, that comes before condoms, that comes before all that shit.
Yeah, I mean, because what else? What else?
That's what you're stopping. That's what you're fighting. Yeah, all the contraceptives, condoms, everything is fighting the dude releasing. So just don't do it. Like people act like they're out here living thinking they gotta do it. Like, well, if I get hard, I gotta come, or like if I have sex, I gotta come. Like,
yeah, and that's why I feel like the parasite just inhabits so much more of them than they do.
yeah,
That's the only way. Because like you're not. Why are you so driven to do something that like is not even appropriate? Like, you know, people don't have. You know, then for the most part, people have sex outside of ovulation because you know ovulation is only a few days a month. So most people are fucking outside of that. You know, just because the numbers. You know, sure. You know, out of a month, she's probably you could probably get her pregnant like 3 to 5 days out of that month. So outside of that, you know, you got 25 to 27, 28 other days of the month that people are going to be fucking in. And, you know, their body is not even welcoming it. The woman's body's not. So why do you need to come? Why do you need to come?
right. And that's another thing that's not taught either is the times to and not to have sex. Like that's not even part of any of most people's sex talk. Is like, okay, if you're gonna have sex and you don't want to have a kid, which you know when the sex talk is happening, you're never trying to have a kid right at that point. So they should be like, all right, don't have it. When you're ovulating. You know, they should teach men and women how to learn how to like know what that is. Like me, I have no idea.
It's the moon cycle. Like the period ends, then you got 13 days on the night of the 13th day. She's gonna start ovulating. 13 days after the period ends. You know, that night, that following night. But you could bust a nut in her 2 days before that and the sperm survive. You know what I mean? Some people maybe even longer than that, but depending on how potent they are. But it's just like this window. Yeah, people are not even acknowledging the cycles. Because like if you were acknowledging the cycles, then you'd be like, yo, if we don't have sex for like 3 or 4 days or 2 weeks, and then we do it while you're ovulating, it's gonna be so much better because your body is welcoming it totally. And you know, but people don't. And like I bet you, like a lot of the times when people be like, man, that was better sex than usual. They don't even know, like she's just ovulating.
Huh.
That's what I think. You know what I mean? I think a lot of it is that, like, if you paid attention to the ovulation, then you could just have better sex in general, like consciously. Because I mean, it's not like you're gonna just have, you know, if you have tantric sex, it's gonna be better. It's gonna be whatever sex you have now, but better anyway. So,
right. That makes me want to ask like women when I'm having like you know these sorts of like conversations if you know if they know when they're ovulating because I want to know how talked about this is because I've never had a girl bring it up to me. You know, be aware of it.
That she's ovulating?
Yeah, or any of that, or like no one I've ever been with has ever said anything or seemed to have planned anything around that cycle other than the period. Like it's the focus has always been the period. It's like, oh, can't have sex because I'm on my period because I'm bleeding. And that was always the focus of any girl I've been with. No one has been like, oh, well, I'm ovulating on this time, so we shouldn't have sex or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they should know. They should know that they had their period at the same time for 3 months in a row, so they're even more likely to get pregnant if you come in them. If the cycles aren't consistent, then the likelihood of pregnancy is not as great. But if a chick is having, like, if she had her period 3 months in a row on the 25th of that month, then that means all her ovulations are around the same time too. So that means, you know, her cycle is consistent, so her body is more fertile. She can, she's
Why
gonna.
isn't this talked about? Why isn't this talked about with kids? But yet we can like they can talk to kids about genders and all this other crap. But
Yeah, and they can
why?
have parades with gay dudes, butt naked and stuff. Like, basically nothing on. Basically, gay dudes wearing thongs, and it'd be kids in the parade. Yeah, but you can't talk about ovulation and stuff like this. I guess just don't talk
Yeah,
about
like my health class definitely didn't talk about that shit.
it. Yeah, no, and I don't understand. Like like you said, they only just talk about the menstrual cycle, the end of the cycle, the period.
That and then STDs and whatever.
Yeah, and then again on top of that, you should already know, like, what do you eat, woman or man? What do you eat? Do you eat garbage? That means that your body is just more susceptible and more welcoming to, sexually transmitted demons, parasites. So like, I feel like it's, why don't they discuss that? Why don't they discuss, like, yo, this woman's pH is garbage. Her vagina's pH is going to be a different kind of pH. It's going to smell different, taste different, and she's going to be more likely to catch things. So I should not have sex with her because she eats garbage. You know what I mean? And then you can use your own natural compass. Like, why do I have to fucking use a condom? Why don't I just be friends if I feel like I need to use a condom?
Girls could think the same shit about guys too.
Yeah, if he eats trash, you know what I mean. He's probably synchronizing with other women on that eat trash and don't treat their body correctly.
Yeah. What I kind of laugh at sometimes when I see somebody who's like all about the dad bod thing, but like they're more about the stability because it's the idea of like the father figure type thing. It's weird, but I don't understand how they're attracted to that, like the obeseness. You know what I mean? Like because it's nothing but poor health.
But yeah, their dads are that. That's what I'm saying. Like, if their dad was in good shape, so it's like, yeah, you just see this fat, dad, this bloated dad, and that's who you grew up with, and it just means security. He took care of you. He loved you. He fed you. You know what I mean? He hugged you and stuff. He tucked you in at night, read you stories, and now you get older, and like you got this like Sigmund Freudian connection to men like that. You know what I mean? But if he was taking care of himself, he was living tantrically. He was only planting seeds like an intelligent farmer. Then everything would be different. Everything would be different. I mean,
The other side of the coin, though, you got people who like visually look appealing on the outside, but they still don't take care of themselves, and so it's that like it's kind of like I don't know, it's kind of a trick. You know what I mean?
yeah, those are like, it's like different vehicles for parasites, man. Like, you need certain vehicles. Like, you need a off-road vehicle to go somewhere off-road. You need a car that can go across the country, something that's comfortable for you. You need a motorcycle for something different. So it's like the same thing with people. I feel like you need a certain kind of vessel that's going to be a politician. You need a certain kind of vessel that's going to be a porn star. And the parasites know that. Like, it's not that they're
Or like a
designed to be.
bodybuilder or something.
Yeah, they're not designed to be that. No one's designed to be a fucking porn star or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like the parasite just knows, like, I can misuse this potential, this potency, if I take control of it. It's like I could drive this Ferrari like it's a fucking rental car. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. The people, our bodies really do get taken for joyrides.
Yeah, because you got to ask, like, why am I doing this? Like, why
It's
am I
crazy
having
how
sex?
easily and how often people are possessed without knowing it. And then the only way to learn about it is like to know yourself more. Like once you know yourself and like what just makes sense to, like, I don't know, it kind of comes down to like thoughts and cravings and feelings. Like when you know which ones are and aren't yours, then you can realize when you're being manipulated and shit.
Yeah, I mean, but then there's people at this point now, they're like, because I've done it in my life where I'd be like, man, I don't really want to have this sex right now, but I know that it'll give me something materially, or I'll be able to have like leverage on the person, on the female, because the sex is gonna it's gonna basically stun them. It's gonna, it's like almost like a tranquilizer in a sense. Like, it's like predatory. It's like, the Like
Sounds like
anything that's
you
like
use
a
that.
huh?
That sounds almost like you like using it as a weapon.
Yeah, because it becomes that like the more like the sex becomes like weaponized, the more that you like have the fear, the trauma responses in a sense. Like if you, it's almost like I'm gonna stab you before you stab me. You know, like
No,
I get, eh, I don't. It's not always that, but like it's there's been different times in my life where I'm like, all right, well, you want to have sex? I don't really want to have sex, but I'm gonna have sex with you because I know you want to, so I'm gonna use that, and and now I have leverage. Now it's almost like I got credit on you
damn,
because
I've
I
never
fuck.
thought that far forward. It's usually just like, oh, you want to have sex and I don't. All right, I get it.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe I just did it too many times. I didn't listen to myself, where I'm like, and respect myself, and be like, nah, let's just wait, or let's not do it at all. And and so I just do it. So it's just like it's almost like you owe me now, in a sense. Like I did something that I didn't really want to do, so now you should do shit that you don't really want to do when I
See,
want to
that's
do.
really funny because like I've experienced like that same thing happening. Like those expectations were created, but like I had no intentions of it and I hated it. I hated that the fact that I had sex with this girl made her think that she owed me something and that she had to like hang around and like or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I didn't want that. I didn't want to like feel like anybody owed me. I just wanted to be what it was and like keep trucking on.
yeah, I know. Like, I guess it just really depends on like where you're coming from, with because so many people are softcore
Too.
prostitutes.
It's like, what's your goal too? Like, are you out here like looking for somebody that you're trying to have a kid with? You know, are you out here just like trying to fuck people, or are you looking for somebody to like live with, but like you ain't trying to have a kid? Like, there's a lot of things, a lot of ways to go.
Yeah, but like
Way
it's
they
somewhat like
want
you
to go.
said, like you said, it's security, man. You see the dad bod. This dude. He probably works 9 to 5. He's just a shell. He's just working. He's just working and producing material energy so that you know you can have your luxuries or your amenities that you're accustomed to. And yeah, it's just security. So many women are doing that. So many women, like, if you drive a certain car, they'll look at you twice just because the car.
Yeah, yeah, and I've seen
Whatever.
some like videos where they catch people like that, like just like that they're kind of gold diggers or whatever.
Yeah, like sometimes they don't even mean it. They're not consciously doing that. They just know, like,
Right.
they don't want to be with the guy that's driving a fucking a Prelude, like a '98 Prelude or something. You know what I mean? Like a guy driving a Honda. They don't want to.
I
They
know
don't want
you hate the Honda drivers.
all of them. All of them. All of them. If you're not 17, you shouldn't drive a Honda. But
The funny part of that is I owned a Honda and I hated it.
were you 17? Was it your first car? Then it's
Yeah,
okay.
it was like my second or third car, but I hated it. I beat the crap out of it and sold it.
Yeah, no, that's how I feel though. Like the chicks, not to even talk about the guy driving the Honda. He probably needs that car. He probably don't want to drive that car.
But yeah,
And
that's
who
actually
who the fuck wants a Honda? You know what I mean? You gotta be a special kind of stupid. To want Honda. The
my friend.
only thing Honda I want is generators. They can make good generators.
They make good dirt bikes. I'll take a dirt bike.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, yes, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Everything not cars, I guess. I could fuck with Honda. They're reliable.
All right, I got a question for you though. So like, what do you want out of connections like with like what keeps you still connected with women? Like you just like fucking, or is there any sort of like you got a selection process? Are you like looking for something or what?
I feel like it's gotta be. It's gotta, like, if I'm gonna share space with a female like that, then at some point I'm probably gonna have a child with her. And if I don't feel like that's something I want to do with that person, then I just I have to really like go into it saying like, hey, this is not real, in a sense. This is casual. This is just kind of we're just, I don't know, entertaining each other with this with this self rape. until we figure things out. Because
Right.
yeah, other than that, then like I feel like I'm just like wasting both of our time because that's if I have a woman in close quarters with me, then I'm gonna have sex with her. So I'd rather it be someone that I wouldn't be mad if I got them pregnant. And then if that's the case, then I need them to have certain qualities, as far as like being a good mom and like and what they would develop into or mature into as a mom. It's like I'm looking for good moms.
Okay, so yeah, so you are like you're aware. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. You're not like, all right, I want a girl, I want to find a girl to have a kid with, but you're like, I like to be here with women, and probably it's probably gonna happen, so I should be selective for that. And that makes
Yeah,
sense. That's
yeah,
like the
like
most like that's such an interesting way to look at it because it sounds like you're able to attract that without it being a want, and so it's not like running.
yeah, it's like if I gotta be alone, I gotta work on things. It's just gonna make me be a better dad anyway. So
Like you're not out there like wanting a girl to be with to impregnate. You're just like aware that, oh, if I'm with a girl and we're having sex, like might eventually get pregnant, and like it's got to be one that makes sense to do that with.
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's not, based on how my age and like the way that society is right now. Like,
That's how I feel about it too, but I was never able to put it in words.
yeah, yeah, man. I just like
Cause like
if
I'm
I'm
not
gonna,
trying to have a kid, but I'm not like I really don't want a kid, but I'm like, all right, I get that it may happen at one point or another, but that's a really good way to look at it from
yeah,
the way you.
yeah, sex is just synchronicity. So if I just constantly synchronize with this person, we're gonna merge into a point where it's a joint decision in a sense, like where yeah, we're gonna come because it's my body, but like we've already made the choice to merge way before the actual ejaculation.
Right.
You know, and that's yeah, again, that's why I feel like people are retarded. They just synchronizing like haphazardly, and they're just like, they're going into something, giving up their will because it's like a unification process, and you're going into it like giving up your personal will in a sense, because it's like takes two to tango. So once you start to do it, like more and more. The more that you're doing that, the more that you kind of giving up the trigger finger. Like, and so people need to really get in control of their own trigger finger, be with themselves, control their own body, control their own body, like daily bodily functions, their daily metabolic functions. They should be playing an active role in that, playing an active role in digestion, playing an active role with their breath, all of that, like cycling their sexual chi, so that when it comes time to have sex, you have autonomy. You could say no, you know. But if you're just like, all right, let's go into this unification process, I'm gonna give up my will, and then you want to say no, it's not gonna work out. Then, and that's why I feel like people, they feel lack when they don't come, or they have blue balls because they don't circulate the blood. So now this blood is just heating up this area.
I've never experienced blue balls, but I mean, I guess I can see what you're saying. Yeah, when you word it like that.
I feel like the times that like I've experienced what I think people are talking about, it's just a time where I didn't circulate enough. And I'm just like, all right, now I need to go stretch, and then it goes away.
Hmm.
I don't know, or breath work. It's like I don't even have to do breath work, but if I could just stretch, just to get the blood out of that area. It's like so much blood in my prostate and reproductive area that I'm like, damn, this is like almost uncomfortable. It's like a lot of heat. And
You could probably even flex like another muscle too, because I know that's like if you got like a boner or whatever that you didn't want for some reason, you could just flex a muscle and it goes away. I've known that like my whole life.
yeah, no, you're right, man. That's definitely I guess we should talk about that too, man. Because the mechanics of sex, I feel like people they're not in touch with their body enough, and that's why I feel like it's just parasites running the show. I can just feel it, like, yo, I'm using this right leg too much. The circulation of my blood and the pressure of my blood it's gonna make it easier to come if I keep pressure. Like if I'm leaning on one leg, again, that's why it's balance is everything. If I'm leaning on one leg too long in the sex, putting too much pressure on one leg, then it's gonna make it easier for me to come. So I gotta like cycle the blood back over to the other leg.
When you were fucked up, had that fucked up leg when you were limping or whatever.
When my shit was broken.
Was that
Or
when
no,
you realized? Remember when you were limping around for a while, or was that because of your back?
no, that was from the limes.
Oh shit!
That was from the limes, yeah, because I couldn't walk for 2 months. At the end of 2019, I couldn't walk at all. And
No, you remember you had that thing on your back?
yeah,
Was your
I had
leg back or your
a
ass or
system.
something?
I had a cyst on my spine, but that didn't make me limp though. I'm trying, like it was. I guess when I was at your place, I had the surgery not that long ago, so I was tight.
Oh
But
yeah, okay.
it wasn't making me limp. Like I had limes in my knees is what got affected the most, and I couldn't walk for like some months. In the end of 2019, beginning in 2020, I couldn't walk like at all. And so yeah, by the time I saw you at the end of 2020, I was still limping from that because I couldn't bend my knee really. I couldn't bend my knee at all without like excruciating pain at one point.
Shit.
It was that bad. Both of them, both my knees. But the right one's still kind of swollen now, and it's been 3 years almost.
Oh, but yeah, you were saying the balance. Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
I was gonna say that it's wild the breath and how important that is because a lot of people hold their breath during sex, men and women. I notice the girls do it too. Like when they're about to come, they start holding their breath, and then dudes will hold their breath, and next thing you know, they're coming. So yeah, it's just
Yeah,
really important to not do.
because you're not living in your body all the way. If you're all the way in your body, then you're not gonna forget about your breath. As soon as I forget about my breath, I realize I'm thinking. I'm not even in the sex. I'm thinking. Like, you know what I mean? Because I'll be looking at like her body, and I'm like, damn, her body looks nice. This body looks crazy right now. Look at her body right now. And I forget to breathe. I'm like, oh shit, I'm in my head right now. Hold on. Let me
Yeah,
catch it. Let me breathe real quick. Let me breathe. And then so yeah, like I feel like I know other people that they just come at that point. Probably. I don't know.
and
Because they're so in their head.
it's kind of funny how I had a girl tell me that like, oh well, the whole time we're having sex, then you're probably just thinking about not coming, but it's the opposite. Like you just said, actually, the times where you like lose the presence, that's when you're like, in your head and not
Yeah.
present. But then when you're breathing, you're actually present in there.
Yeah, when I'm fucking a chick I shouldn't be fucking, I have my presence. I have to. It's hard. I have to like try to. It's like I have to Jedi mind trick myself to stay present and
I know,
like
just yeah, it's
and
even harder.
stimulate my body because I feel like most premature ejaculation. I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else. I've only had my dick, but I feel like with the times when it be pressured like that, like where I'm like, oh shit, I might come. It just be like my dick just don't be as fully as hard as it could be because I'm not present. Either I'm not present or like
Right? You gotta work. You have to work extra hard. You'd have to stroke like way harder and like create too much friction to actually get to that point.
yeah, like like if you can't just be erect off of like simple touch, and then like you go into it and you're feeling everything
It shouldn't
because you're
happen.
yeah because I feel like when you're fully erect, then like your dick is communicating with you fully, like you can feel and them too, so like it's full communication.
I kind of
you know
fluctuate. It's like it's not between like it doesn't get fully erect at like right from the get go, but then like once we're going, it will. And I kind of I think I kind of control that because it's like easier to get going. You know what I mean? If you're not just like fully erect.
oh yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like it's definitely been a bunch of times where I was like, all right, we'll get there once I get inside. you
Yep.
know it's been a bunch of that, but I mean like
And that's super useful too. That where you can control like basically the hardness of your dick.
yeah, cycle the blood in your dick. I feel like if like for real, like when I'm smoking, like like it fucks with the whole circulation of my body. I'm not breathing correctly like I would be. My circulation is just not as good. Like so the
Oh yeah, so
circulation of
you
my
get extra present times two.
Yeah, my circulation in my dick just isn't as good. I can't control it as much, and there's just more mucus in my system. So it'd be more mucus in my prostate, and more. You know what I mean, so it's just
More pressure.
nothing. Yeah, so much of it be just mucus, yo. Like just fucking with the pressure, like all over the whole system, though. And so, like,
So
I don't
I
know.
feel like if people can't even get it up, erectile dysfunction, like that's their body saying they need to address some other shit and like not even supposed to be having sex.
Yeah, like if you're an old man or whatever, yeah.
They take the pill. I wonder how the pill works. Like it'd be interesting to like to talk to someone who like designed it or whatever, I mean, however they mapped it out, because it's like tricking your body to send the blood there. It's like, so the blood will go there, your body's just not allowing it to for some reason, and
Yeah,
there's
just
a
yeah,
reason. Like,
yeah,
oh, it's just I got erectile dysfunction for no reason. No, it's because your body deems everything else more important that it's dealing with your blood right now.
yeah.
And like
'Cause your
probably that person shouldn't have a kid. Think of how many people had kids because of boner pills. Like I wonder how many people out here walking around like that exist because a guy had ejaculated when his body didn't even want him to do it.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's exactly it. Like, your body has a checklist. It's like, you're not gonna go, if you got a organ problem, you're not, body's like, nah, we shouldn't be having sex. We like, I should be using all my regenerative energy on this organ. But that's all sex
Right.
is. Sex is just regenerative. It's regenerative. Like you're regenerating, you're creating a generation. Like you're making another generation. You're regenerating yourself. Recreating yourself in a sense. So like the making a baby is regeneration. So the sexual organs are the regenerative organs. And if you're not using the organs for sex, then they're gonna be that energy and that they still
It
play a
sounds like
role.
you're underwater.
Hear me now?
No, it goes worse.
Fuck.
Oh, there we go.
You know what I'm saying? So like the sex organs is the regenerative organs. So they're even if you're not having sex, they're being used to regenerate your body.
Oh, for
Because
sure. Yeah.
yeah, like you're producing testosterone in your testicles. So if you work out, then your testicles are producing testosterone. You're producing that testosterone. It's getting circulated through the system. So now your muscles can heal. So now, like if you constantly having sex, then your muscles not gonna heal like they would. Your organs not gonna heal like they would. Nothing's gonna heal. You're like, it's like if you got a bunch of bills and you pay them like $10 at a time, you're not just pay this whole bill off, yo. Then pay the next bill, then pay the next bill, then pay the next bill, and then once your bills are paid, then you can enjoy your income.
Right.
But people, I feel like they just like, oh, I'm gonna just pay $10 for this, $10 for this, $10 for that, and it's like now you just stacking up all these bills, you're never really getting any of them paid off.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
And you get spread too thin, man. It's just regenerative. It's the whole it's for regeneration. It's not really for anything else. Like tantric sex is like to regenerate, to heal or whatever, to like get over sexual traumas and stuff like that, and to practice regenerating. But it's like people just rape the energy, It's like
Not only that, they disrespect. They like don't even. They like disrespect it and don't appreciate it. They don't even like harness it. They just kind of waste it.
yeah, the whole thing is
Something, and they manifest something else to harness it in turn because if we're not using it, something else has to. So we're like I feel like we're generating this energy, and then because we don't use it, we attract something to use it for us.
yeah, nothing gets wasted. You know what I mean? Even if if you eat some food and don't finish it and throw the rest of it away, like at some point, some way that energy is gonna go. It's gonna get processed by worms or maggots or whatever. It's gonna get processed by something. It's not
Right.
gonna it's not gonna just sit there eternally. Like, oh, I'm ready. I'll just be a piece of fruit forever, right in this state, waiting for you to take another bite. Like, no, like everything's constantly being processed. Like you're processing. you're being processed, by yourself in a sense, and like it's like nothing's sitting still that way. Like, like you have some fruit, it grows, it falls off the tree. Then the longer it falls off the tree, the more that it's gonna be processed by worms and stuff, and then those the worms are gonna shit out fertilizer, and then that's gonna get used, and so it's never any waste. No, there's no such thing as waste, really. It's the problem is the discombobulation, the tangling, like where you got waste where you shouldn't have waste at. Like you got basically just like eating shit in a sense. Like you shouldn't be eating shit. Like you should, if you eat what is already in a phase of like even with fruit, if you're not picking it off the tree, it was already kind of starting to go into the phase where it's for the worms. So now it's like the longer that you're getting things away from the stem, from the limbs of the tree, the more that it's not really designed for you. So like if you're eating an animal that ate something that was fresh, now you're like even further along in the process. You know what I mean? Like where it's like there's nothing you can do but be a parasite because you're just synchronizing with that phase. You're eating something that is designed for a parasite. So what do you think you're going to be at that point? And then I just feel like that's it, just a misappropriation where now you got the wasteful people in positions of power, and in a sense of people that don't respect order. It's just order. It's like if you were to go to the toilet and eat food on the toilet, or you take a shit at the dinner table. It's like, yo, you can't do these things in the same place, like, and at the same time. And so like it's like you're having sex, but your body's still having these other metabolic processes so it can't even be fully present for the sex because it's like, yo, you ate this garbage. I can't even give you the blood for the sex because now I have to process this bread or whatever. So you just haven't, everything's haphazard. You're not fully present for anything. You're like partially present. So you're not really fully in your body. You're not really fully in all the organs. The blood is like kind of like liquid consciousness. So like it's all over the place. It's not like getting this job done, then the next job, and then the next job. And then now it's like, okay, those jobs are done. Now we have sex. And then now all the jobs are done. Now I'm going to shed my body. So now motherfuckers are dying and they're not even present for their own death. You know what I mean? Like the body is dying kind of separate from itself because motherfuckers die metaphysically. They live in a life that their self can't live with. So the self is already gone, but the body's dying still it's still alive, but they're supposed to die at the same time. You know what I mean? Like they're supposed to transition at the same time to where you can transition back into form or whatever form you're going into. You're doing it completely instead of in pieces like that, like where you're just like, oh, I really wasn't there fully when I had my kid because I was drunk or because I ate some garbage, and then we had sex because this food like insulated my body, made my blood all thick, and then I couldn't control my circulation when my dick got hard, so I came, and so now I had a baby, and I really wasn't present for it. So it's like you're born and you're not really present, and then you're gonna die like that too. Like you're not fully present for your own death. And I think that all just comes with living the wrong way. The more that you're living the right way, the more that you're like, hey, shit, when death comes, it just be like they say, the last ride's the best one. You're like, all right, this is gonna be the best DMT trip ever. And I don't, what I mean, I don't want to rush it, but if it's coming, I'm gonna be ready for it. And I feel like that's the fucked up parts where we at, kind of. Yo, don't tell me I didn't record all them dope metaphors.
Can you not hear me?
Yeah, I wasn't hearing you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Did you hear me that whole time?
Yeah, I did. I heard everything.
All right, cool.
I was gonna say, it sounds like basically based on what you're saying, most everything is done out of a state of debt because nobody's like healing themselves before they do anything, making these decisions. Like even if you look at like no one's fully digesting their food before they have sex or before they like everyone knows like, oh, if you eat you're supposed to wait X amount of time before you go swimming because if your body's too busy digesting food, like it might fuck up your ability to swim. But
And you
yeah,
can't.
we make all these other fucking life altering decisions.
Yeah, you just want to do everything like completely. If you're gonna walk to the mailbox and check the mail, you want to do that shit completely. You don't want to be like, all right, I gotta think about this next thing and the next thing while I'm doing this thing. It's just
Yeah,
gonna snowball.
you know what's fucking with that? Wicked bad cell phones, dude. It does it to me. So I don't have a mailbox, but say I'm walking to my mailbox, I'd be likely to just fucking scroll looking at my phone while I'm walking to that fucking mailbox. I'm not even doing it present. Or
Yeah,
like, I mean, fucking taking a shit. Sometimes I'll look at my phone. You know what I mean? I can't even like, I can't take the time to take a shit. Like what? Why is this shit so addictive like that?
yeah, it's so real, man. And the more that you're doing things completely, the more that you're gonna respect the order of things. It's like gonna happen just innately. You're gonna be like, all right, well, the next thing to do, it makes sense to have a baby, or the next thing to do is we eat this food now, or next thing to do is I'm dehydrated. I'm gonna drink this water. But if you're like, all right, I'm gonna eat this food that's dehydrating, so I know I need to drink at the same time as I'm eating. So now I'm drinking and eating at the same time. My body can't really do both really at the same time. It's not supposed to. It's not designed to do both these things. It's like two elements at once. So it's just discombobulation. It's more
Right? Or
discombobulation.
like set up a fucking job of what you got to do. Like, all right, I'm gonna get this food, and then after that, maybe have some like warm water or like whatever. It's so much
Yeah,
work.
yeah. Like if you're just doing it, can like for like, all right, what makes sense? Let me feel I'm inhabiting my whole body. Let me see what the whole system is okay with. So you say, like, all right, man, I'm a little dehydrated. I'm gonna drink some water, and then you drink the water. Then you feel the water go through your whole system, and then you like, all right, cool. I've reached this stage now where I can make the next decision, and I'll just be present from decision to decision. But we be living like 10 years at a time. You know, it's like I know I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do this, then the next day I'll probably do this, and then I do this, and then
And then
you're not
there's
even
no
really over
accountability.
here, huh?
And then there's no accountability on top of all these decisions that they're making, like really at rapid pace.
Yeah, it's like the body just is like pretty much just going. It's not even really making decisions as they arrive. It's kind of predetermining things before they even get there. So,
Yeah, because the
it's like,
trajectory.
yeah, and then now you're missing shit. Now you're like,
It's like pointing a rocket in a direction and then lighting the fuse. Like, of course, it's gonna go in the direction you pointed it that direction. Like people just hitting the gas and like not knowing which way they're going.
yeah, and then like you've already committed so hard to some shit that don't even really exist yet or might not exist at all. So that when like the opportunities are there that would have been there if you'd have stayed present, you're gonna miss all of that, and then you have regret. Then you live in the past because the regret,
Yeah, no
and
wonder monks go sit and just do nothing because like that's the way. you know?
yeah, because eventually you're gonna be like, all right, this makes sense. I've sat still
Long
appropriately
enough.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, now now it makes sense to go to the park and play basketball or whatever. Like you don't do what makes sense totally. It's not. Let me do what I think should be done. Like, no, you should just do what makes sense for this moment right now. But people be like, nah, I'm gonna do what I think. This moment's not as good as my mind, what I think it should be. So I'm gonna do what I think it should be. You know, it's like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like if I don't feel supported or if shit's not really supporting me being with someone, this should be obvious. But people be like, nah, yo, I think we should be together because I think it. You know what I mean? and I have this attachment to feeling this way. So I don't give a fuck that the whole world is against this. I'm doing what I think should be done.
Sometimes the whole fucking reality is against people being together, but they fight it.
Yeah, and then they have
I've
a kid.
been there, and then like thankfully I never got out of it with a kid. It's always cost me like money or sort like levels of freedom, but like yeah, it's just crazy. Like in life will give you it kind of lets you know too, but then we choose to ignore it. It's like, yo, this shit ain't supposed to be happening. You're like, yeah, but I'm just gonna keep doing it anyway because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of something different.
Yeah, that's all it is, man. Like I'm just terrified that, like, it's like yourself has already kind of picked the course, and it's like, all right, this is what comes with the course. But then like the body gets distracted, or traumatized. So then you like lose trust for the course. So you'd be like, yeah, I'm just doing things kind of like out of like trauma responses or fear of missing out, whatever it is. You have like no trust in the fact that like, yo, I can't miss what's for me. If it's for me and it came from me, I can't miss it. You know what I mean? If I'm supposed to merge with someone, then they're not really
Right?
separate
You're
from me.
never stressing about it.
Yeah. And then you're just doing shit in order, man. It's like, if you don't fully develop and you have a kid, you don't fully mature and then you have a kid, like you're just creating. You have to make the ground level before you put the foundation of the house down. Like you don't just be like, let's put the foundation down. Fuck this ground. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like everything's got to be done in order.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's just really about order and respect to order. It's like if you were to, everything's kind of backwards though. And at this point, everything's been inverted and perverted to where it's like, oh yeah, let's do this at night, the shit that we shouldn't do at night, and then during the day we do some shit that we shouldn't do in the day, and then we,
Right. Reminds me of a post I made the other day. I said, you walk into an American restaurant and first thing they give you is ice water. You go into a Chinese restaurant, first thing they give you is hot tea.
yeah.
It's like someone was like, "What's the big deal?" I was like, "Well, if you know, you know."
Yeah, exactly. And people know, people just know, man. Some people just know, like, yo, this comes before this, and if you do it the other way, you're gonna suffer. You
I don't
know,
remember the last time I had ice water at this point. That just seems like I'll sit in an ice bath before I drink ice water.
yeah, I should do an ice bath, man. I got this clawfoot tub right here next to me. I should do an ice bath. Yeah, but
Yeah, there's probably a million people out there wishing they had a tub like that they could do it in.
yeah, I'm slacking.
yeah,
Uh, I be,
yeah, me
I
too.
be, yeah, I be drinking ice water sometimes because it be like 110 degrees out here, bro. That
I've
ice
never
water,
experienced that type of heat, so I'm sure I
the
might.
ice
I
be melt,
might
the
put my
ice be
mouth.
melt as soon as it hits my tongue. It'd be like the ice already 90 degrees. As soon as it hits my tongue, it's like, oh man. But nah, it's really, it's not correct if I to be doing shit that certain way. I just feel like
You're also not eating a fucking like a hamburger and like a bunch of other shit and like a bunch of oily stuff that really makes a difference there.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like then you need climate control a lot more. You know. Like for me, like even having Lyme's, like I need more climate control since I got it. Like it's harder for me to control my temperature because it's a parasite. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like people got crazy parasites. So the parasites like constantly keeping them in air conditioning. Or some type of climate control scenario that if they were to just go outside of that box, they would start to experience their body fully. But as soon as that starts to happen, then people be like, oh no, I got to go back in the AC or I got to go back in the heat because I can't, I don't want to dwell in reality in a lot of ways. It's like dwelling in an illusion. It's almost like being in virtual reality if you're never really moving with the seasons or moving with the environment around you. Like if it's 110 degrees out all day, I'm gonna do more shit in the evening and in the early morning. I'm not gonna do shit in the day, you
Right.
know. But if you're in climate control, you're not. You can be like, all right, fuck it, I'm forced to do whatever. I'll do whatever. I'm in this controlled climate, and like now you're in air that has been conditioned, and it's just like conditioned thoughts.
It's funny that you say that because the AC's on in the trailer I'm staying in right now. But I went in there and got my phone charger and got my shit because I was like, I got to do this podcast. I can't be sitting in the AC and having this conversation.
Yeah, no, shit. I got an air conditioning unit too. You know, what I mean, I had to step away from it to do this shit too. I'm just saying, like, it's like people aren't. They're living their whole lives in that. You
Yeah.
know, they just get out their house, go right to the car, turn the air conditioner on, go into the next building with
They
the
got
air
everything
conditioner.
conditioned, their hair, their air, their mind.
Yeah, it's all conditioned. Like it's like so much conditioning. It's like the parasite is just it's like pulverizing the meat to tenderize it so that it can consume it better. Right. That's
Yeah,
conditioning.
worms will eat the most disgusting shit, like rotting, dead shit. They don't care what it looks like. Parasites don't give a fuck. Humans are picky. Humans are like, oh, that looks like it's rotten, or that looks like this. Like, I don't want to eat it now. That smells like this. Nah. But parasites, they don't give a shit.
Yeah, parasites is looking at it like, man, this shit's gonna be rotten by the time it hits your colon. So I don't give a fuck how it looks to get. I'm just trying to get it in you, no matter what we got to do to get it in you. Because by the time it reaches me, it'll be garbage.
I
So
think they gotta be there because if they weren't there, I think people would be dying because they'd just be backed up and fucking. I think they're there for, to help process really.
yeah, to turn the beings that want to be obliterated into nothingness, because that's what they want. They want to not exist in a sense, and then because they don't live with themselves, you know what I mean. So the body just wants to. They don't want to exist, like.
Oh, you know
And
what's
then,
wild to me that I feel like this experience helped me with parasites, like just kind of understanding how parasites can form inside you is when I was younger, like my mom had this food truck and she would make hard boiled eggs and shit. So I had a couple hard boiled eggs and I must have I didn't like the yolk, so I ate the whatever and I left the yolk in the bag and I closed the bag. It was like a Ziploc bag, and then it ended up like falling into my drawer of my desk or like my side table, and it got closed. And next thing you know, there's this like really bad smell. We're like, where the fuck is that smell coming from? And I find that, and it's just a bag full of worms. There's nothing in there but maggots. And I'm like, how the fuck did they get in there? You know what I mean? But really, they didn't get in there. Like they were birthed in there somehow. So that's why
yeah,
when I came across parasites and people saying how, oh, if you eat this you can get parasites in you, I'm like, oh yeah, 100%. Like some people, they don't have like of like a parasite being born out of like something so small that you can't see it. They think, oh, if I look at a piece of meat and there's no worm on it, that's no problem.
yeah. Sebi used to always say that. He was like, if you look at like mucus in the microscope, it's just gonna be microbes, little microbes that eventually turn into worms. If you was to totally die, they would just become worms and eat you up. And so where did they come from? They came from the man. It's like there's no separation. Like you start to decay into the ground, and then you're getting eaten up from the inside out by these bugs that are really not separate from you. They're kind of you.
What do you
And a
think
lot
of
of
things in your eye and people's eyes?
I think if you are killing yourself, you're gonna synchronize with other shit that will kill you. So some parasites, yeah, they're just gonna opportunistically jump in you and proliferate or whatever. But mad people have parasites in their brains and their eyes. I feel like every migraine headache is just a fucking worm chewing on the back of your fucking eye. Like that's how I feel. Like I feel like it's just worms in there.
No,
You
I
know,
mean, like the flow, like the little worm shaped things that some people see sometimes. I've seen them like maybe a handful of times in my life, but some people they're like, oh no, I live with this all the time.
yeah, I
Oh,
think that.
another friend of mine, he's like a heavier set dude, like like 80 pounds heavier set, and I remember him telling me one time that he felt like there was like things crawling on his skin, but nothing was ever there. And I remember thinking like, dude, you probably got parasites crawling around inside of you.
Yeah, like you can Google that one dude that has sushi, and then they X-rayed him, and he had worms all up under his skin.
Yo, I seen the one video of it said the guy was like a bodybuilder or something, and they like had his organ, like a slice in his organ, and they were just pulling out like so many worms. It was nuts. They just kept pulling them out and out and out and out.
Yeah, I think every heart attack or heart failure is heartworm. You know, I really do, and I think that's why they were so big on like bad mouthing or condemning ivermectin because it helps with those worms. And for the
So you think doctors are just like widely ignore this shit and just don't tell people? Because like I mean, I'm talking about like the surgeons and the ones that are in there. Like I feel like it should be more known. Like, hey, you guys got parasites here, there, and everywhere, or are they what? You know what I mean? It's
I
hard to
think
know. Never
yeah,
inside of somebody.
well, I feel like a lot of this shit, a lot of the doctors are just like kind of like part of the matrix, just programs. You know what I mean? They're parasites too. They don't even really know. They're just being driven and being eaten. And then the
Yeah, they're
parasites,
probably not even looking for nothing different. They're looking for what they were taught to look for, and they're doing the job they're in there to do, and not questioning like, oh, what's maybe this is doing it, like, or whatever.
yeah. And then the parasite, man, parasites be interfacing, man. I've had times in my life where I could tell, like, yo, this dude is cool with me. He don't even know he's cool with me because we have the same parasite.
Facts.
Like, and he just thinks he's cool with me, but it's really the parasite. And I feel like, when it comes to the parasites in general, they're slick, man. They go dormant. They can move around.
Bro,
They
we
know,
definitely got similar parasites. Like, I'm not even gonna
yeah,
lie.
yeah, something. Yeah, it's definitely because, like, that I think it just comes with the territory. Like, if you have certain abilities, you're gonna get a certain kind of parasite or certain kind of challenge. Because this is based on your ability. I feel like that. Like, if you have, say, like if you had like a gold mine, then you're gonna attract people that want gold or whatever. Like, it's not. It's just like the parasite is going to be specific to whatever mineral or whatever they're trying to mine about you, whatever energy that you have. If we have similar energy, then yeah, I feel like we're gonna have similar parasites, similar things that want to eat us. Like it's like if you were, both some deer, you both got the common enemy or predator that like the mountain lion or something.
I know I've felt this a lot, like in transitioning periods when you're giving up something, and then someone else who's not giving that up come around, and you can just tell when their parasites are trying to get you to fall back.
Yeah, man.
And they're like, oh, we about to lose this one, and they somehow know through like a whole other body, because I swear they look and see and hear through our eyes. So whatever you're saying to a person, like you're not only talking to their consciousness, you're talking to their parasites too.
Yeah, man, it's like identity theft or thievery, or whatever. Like when people hack your phone or something, like they're seeing everything. You know what I mean? They can see through what you're seeing on your phone. They can see
Right.
it in real time. It's like the same thing. Like you get spied on by the government. That's like a parasite coming through, listening, seeing through your camera. That's just
Basically.
yeah,
I remember one time you were talking about being careful with what you say because of your own parasite.
yeah, because the parasite don't want you to say something out loud because then the body's gonna hear it, and too many cells. Like if you think it in your head, then it's like the amount of cells that hear it. It's not as many as if you say that shit with your whole body.
Right.
Because a lot of the cells just is dormant and malformed and just taken over by parasites. I always look at it too, like, man, the parasites would look like you on the inside of you because they're just mimicking you. Like if you could somehow go inside to your body, and it
you
would probably
like
like
the more you identify with it.
yeah, like the micro being the macro, it's really kind of no different. Like the people around you, the people that you see and shit that end up like being in your environment or whatever, and you be like, damn, like you look like a human, or you look like me, you look like the type of person I am. Like if people get real tribal, then it's like we got the same skin color, we got the same facial structure or whatever, and now I don't. It's hard for me to look at you like an enemy because you look like me. So that's why I think it's like on the inside of the body, the micro being the macro. I think the inside is like the parasite is just mimicking the cells, and then putting the other cells to sleep.
And it's like, are parasites the enemy, or are they just like a consequence of our choices?
Yes, like it's not the enemy in the sense that for the collective, it's like the parasite's destroying itself. So it's like for the collective, it's kind of a good thing. It's just like how much collateral damage will there be? And they're just opportunistic, man. Because I feel like it's
how much
been
will
so.
you want to have?
Yeah, but like how many parasites have gotten to this point now? We've gotten like hundreds of years in now to where you got fully, like in the beginning it was probably just humans that had parasites, like the movie Venom, where it's like you got this symbiote that's like in you, that's like this other thing, and you might even know it. You get some benefits from the parasite, and you already know. But like generations and generations of that, now we got this point where like people are completely parasites. They're like personified parasite.
Oh yeah,
So
they're
like,
basically a host. The people are the host. It's basically an organic robot with like the consciousness put in the back seat, and then the parasite gets in the driver's seat.
yeah, exactly. So
The
you
people
got,
are organic robots. It's nuts.
yeah, and it's just been duplicated. The parasite just duplicated one of these phenotypes or archetypes so many times that the self can't come through because there's so many fragments. It's like a shattered piece of glass. You try to look at the mirror, you can't really see your whole self. Like it's not going to reflect you. It's all in pieces, so you can't get all of you to come through one of the bodies. And so it's like you're trapped in a sense. And I feel like that's kind of what it.
My conspiracy theory is that like I feel like technology is kind of consuming us, and I feel like AI is a reflection of the parasite, and it's I think it's like taking, I don't know, I think it's swaying like the collective more so than parasites at this point. Like I feel like parasites were kind of driving the collective at one point, but then I think parasites themselves attracted the AI, which is now swaying humans more so than parasites. I think on a
Well,
on a larger scale.
if you look at like a tick under the microscope, ticks get eaten by mites. So parasites always attract other parasites that attract other parasites that attract other parasites. And they just get eaten up by each other into oblivion, like a snake eating its own tail.
Well, that makes sense because if the parasites, came into us and then they attracted the AI, that's basically part of the thing that's farming us now. Like we're farmed now more than ever because AI needs us to make the power and make all the shit for them to exist and for them to continue coming into form or whatever.
So yeah, like that's what I mean. Like with the scary part with the AI is the self-realization. So like you create the AI, you create this like perfect soldier, and you're like, yo, go and take out the biggest threat, right? Eventually, as it processes, it takes in information and processes, it realizes the thing that created it is the biggest threat to the environment.
Right.
So now it's just destroying what created it. And so that I feel like that's the same thing. It's like the parasite, the AI becomes self-realized. The parasites have become self-realized. Like before, it was all unconscious. The parasite doing whatever it's naturally supposed to do. Then it gets to a point where it's taking over the whole body, to where it's like, I realize I'm a parasite now. I realize this is what I am. This is what I do. So I might as well, become self-actualized and be the best parasite I can be. and I can covertly inhabit as many hosts as possible and make those hosts invent things that support my reality, propagate my existence. I can make drones, make more AI.
Right, like make people more lazy to want to rely on more like AI shit, like whether it be driving around, bringing food to a table, whatever, flipping whatever, you know what I mean, whatever.
Yeah. So that's what I think where we're at. We're at that point now where like, people went from having parasites to becoming fully parasites, to the parasite now inhabiting a body. There's like no self. It's like
Right.
it's like the movie Split. You know, he had all them alters, and then like the real self was just like, yo, I don't even want to be here. So
Oh, dude, it's almost like creating AI is almost like giving the parasites this like it's almost seems like when a human does like DMT or something, you know, you like feel like you leave your body or whatever, and you separate from, you know, that cage that's holding you for a minute. uh it's almost like that, like they're going from us, they're trying to like go into this other form, they're trying to change form.
yeah, exactly. Like, you know, they're trying to what would a parasite do? It would evolve in a way that to us is devolving. You know, like natural evolution, you would be like, let's just fully inhabit our bodies. Let's fully inhabit our potential. Let's get to the point where maybe, you know, I don't like to say this out loud, but you know, maybe we could fly organically. But the parasite's like, no, let's fucking make a bunch of inventions that are toxic to the environment, and then we'll fly mechanically, you know, in these other ways, and make a robot that does it, or make a machine that does it, because, and then we inhabit the machine, and then we can get rid of everything that's organic about us. Anything organic, we get rid of that, so that because that becomes the enemy. 'Cause that's the self,
When
and
it breeds parasites at the same time too, because people have to be consuming trash, you know, to breed the parasites at the same time.
yeah, no, it's like it has to happen. Like the only way that you can keep the parasite is if you can maintain a level of plaque around the whole system, around the organs, around the brain, around the pineal. You have all this plaque that starts to crystallize and calcify to where the self can't penetrate the body, and that you're basically just like scrubbing all the self out. Getting and to the point now where the parasite's like, I want to move into a machine so that there's no organic part of me, so I can be completely, you know, I guess rational, whatever you want to call that, you know, pretty much doing without will, total
Yeah, the
rational.
parasites at this point are probably like, all right, we're like a parasite in a human body is more limited than a consciousness in a human body in the driver's seat, in my opinion, of course. But
Yeah, because the self is still going to combat it. There's still going to be emotions and thoughts that is going to combat the parasite inside the body. But if you can somehow block all of that and somehow jump from that to an inorganic machine, you know, that's what the process was. Like, so you had organic humans. So then you had to create the most inorganic human that you could create, that can't live outside of nature, that can't do nothing for itself, that can't even be in the fucking sun. You know, just make the most inorganic human that you can make, so that there's nothing to fight you inside of it. And then you can make that thing make a machine that you could possibly inhabit. And that's what I feel like the AI is.
so what if we were just originally like some form of parasite that got its like way into humans? What if what if we're just parasites? You know, like the consciousness existing in the body, driving it to do. Because think about it, if the consciousness wasn't in the body would be like an animal, and it would do natural things. It would do what it's naturally, you know, supposed to do. But the consciousness makes it do whatever it wants. You know what I mean? We could like, you know, does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel what you mean. Like, I feel like on an animal level, yeah, like the body would, if it didn't have consciousness, then its scope in life would be very narrow, and it would.
Yeah, I feel like we came from something like what's communicating right now. I feel like we came from something that some people might want to call aliens or whatever. Some people call gods. Some people call them all sorts of fucking things. But I
If
don't
you
know.
just let the body, if you just let the body run, though, it's just gonna be emotional as fuck. You know what I mean? It's gonna make emotional ass decisions. You know what I
Well,
mean?
it's just
Everything.
gonna eat, sleep, and fuck. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
it's not gonna be
with
thinking
all the
beyond emotions.
patients, we do that shit anyways, but we make it way more complicated.
But like the consciousness is what allows you to say, like, all right, look, I know my body is in a rage. I know my body's in fear, or my body is in sadness, but this is all a fleeting emotion that it can't last. So the consciousness can say, like, look, I'll override the fact that I'm experiencing this temporarily. I know this is a temporary, fleeting, transient experience. It's not forever. Whereas like an animal is just going to respond from one emotional stimulation to the next. Like I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I want to fuck, and want to,
like all
I want to eat. I'm dehydrated. It's just gonna. It won't be able to see past that really, like without consciousness.
And it's hard to know. It's hard to know though if like animals are conscious because like you've seen animal, you've had a relationship with an animal that like I'm sure you wouldn't be like, oh yeah, my dog was like just unconscious as fuck, you know.
I feel like if they were to somehow they were to have their own environment and they were in symbiosis in that environment, they would definitely. It's inevitable that they would evolve and have greater vision to see beyond their emotions. You know what I mean? Like it's not like especially like it's really like an evolutionary scale in a sense. Like you got your mammals that they got like elephant graveyards and stuff, and they mourn their dead and all that type of stuff. And you got snakes that are just like, yo, I'll fucking eat my baby. I don't give a fuck. It's like it's certain like lizards and shit. They'll just eat their young if there's no food. Where a mammal would, it's really, a dog. They say dog eat dog and everything, but like again, it's like this is in a situation where the symbiosis is lost. You know what I mean? Like typically that's what's gonna happen for you to eat your own. His symbiosis somehow was lost, and like I feel like that's all. Anything that's in symbiosis with its environment is gonna evolve, and like you got reptilian stem, you got
You keep cutting.
What's up?
Oh, you're back now.
I'm saying you got the reptilian brain stem, and then above that you got the mammalian brain. So that's the part of you that like wants to have community. Then you got like the human brain is the cerebral cortex, and then you got the prefrontal lobe that is like pretty much this impartial God. That's what the God in you, a creator part of you. That's the connection to that. So like you have all these different faculties, and so like it expresses itself in the external world. So you got like different things when they're in place, they flourish and they do well and they realize themselves. And I feel like the consciousness grows into the next thing. Like if a snake is in its environment and it's in symbiosis, it's gonna live out that life and then move on to the mammalian level and then move on to the human level and then move on to the creator merging with God creator level. And like I feel like the human is just all of it. That's why I call it the apex. I feel like it's just an expression of all of them. And so like I think that like that dogs or animals, they definitely have a consciousness level, that they can see beyond certain things. Like I seen it like with Figgy, and when she was more selfish and she was around me, I was being more selfish. So our consciousness was more selfish, and she didn't want no dogs to come around. She only wanted the energy to be consolidated with her. The attention had to be consolidated with her. And then she wouldn't let no dogs eat because she didn't know when her next meal was coming. I guess in her animal mind, she was living out of scarcity because I was living out of scarcity. So then once I started to do better in my life in certain ways, and it allowed me to where I was like, all right, well, I can have this other dog and now you can have puppies. And then she just became way more selfless. And she instead of like finishing her bowl, she let the puppies finish her bowl. She wasn't thinking like as totally selfish, and I feel like it's just part of the evolutionary process, but it wouldn't be
how it evolved with you though.
Yeah, but
like
it wouldn't be
that's
possible.
the crazy part to me is like how it reflects you, and I always say that as people's animals reflect like the owners, and that's just cool that like you are the type of person to actually evolve, so you were aware of, you saw the changes not only in yourself but also in your dog. Like a lot of people just stay the same all the time for the most part, so they don't, or they're just not aware of their own changes. So they're never going to notice that their dog changes along with them, or cat, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like soon as my breath changes and my nervous system starts to get stressed too much, and I reach that threshold, my one dog, Sweets, he's like, he knows. As soon as my breath changes, he knows, like, all right, he's nervous. Why we nervous? What's nervous? What's making us nervous? Because he's looking at it like oneness. And so, like, he's like, are you mad? What we mad about? You know what I mean? Do you need to be excited? What we excited about? And it's like, it's just a funny thing, like how they, they're just paying attention to the metabolic responses, and then they react to it, and then like as they're around your consciousness long enough, they see your routines and stuff that they can see like this, you're no longer in a rush, you're no longer operating from scarcity, you're not scared. Your fear is not I don't feel the fear off of you. So why I'm not about to be afraid as a dog, but I can tell you, as soon as I go into certain modes, the dogs immediately go into those modes. But if you never leave those modes, you'll never know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where most people exist.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I think the same thing happens with like friendships and any sort of relationships where like you can really see where you're at by seeing who you're around and then adjust accordingly.
For sure, man. I mean, and that's why I'll be always wondering, like, man, I'm so alone. Sometimes I'll be so alone. I'll be up here for weeks, like at different periods. It's different, a little different now. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, at different periods of my life, I'll be up here for weeks, and I'm like, damn, I haven't looked at the mirror for like 2 weeks, and I haven't talked to nobody, and like, I haven't opened my mouth to talk to another human in like 2 weeks. It's
That
crazy.
sounds peaceful as fuck, though.
Yeah. It's not like when I'm in it, I'm not thinking like, man, I want to talk to someone. I want to talk to. It just be like I'll go to the store and I'll talk to somebody or something, and I'll be like, yo, I haven't done that in like 2 weeks. I didn't realize it until I did it again.
You ever say that to like a random person? Be like, I haven't talked to somebody in 2 weeks or something. Like they're like, huh?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll be in the cash register. I'll check out somewhere. I'll be at the register, and I'll be like, yeah, I've been on the mountain for a couple weeks, man. I didn't know, man. I didn't even know that I looked like this until I got here. I didn't even know that my beard looked this crazy until I got in the car and looked in the rearview mirror, because I haven't driven my car in 10 days, 11 days or something. And so I'm like, damn, my beard is reckless. I gotta get this. Like, I wouldn't even known, because I just don't even. I'll be living in first person.
Yeah.
It helps with the dreams, though, man.
Not looking at yourself.
Just not living in third person. I feel like when I'm around people, I live in third person more, because I start to go into their mind a little bit. I start to see myself through them. I can see what I look like because I see them seeing me. Right.
Well, it's like they're a whole other, like, people are just like they're like vortexes or something, or like everyone's kind of has their own world in their head, and then when they're around you, like, you're now in their world too. So it's like some of your energy is going there, unless you're really good at like absolutely not giving a fuck about anyone else, even if they're in your vicinity.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
I've definitely been in something like I've been in someone's like area or space, but not in their world at all.
Yeah, nah, they could be living in a whole nother concurrent timeline in their fucking head that don't even exist. But like, as far as like going and being around people, if you got something on your face, you might not know it's something on your face or in your beard, but then you see somebody seeing it, and you're like, oh shit, something on my face.
Like, yeah, and you didn't care until you saw someone seeing it.
Yeah, and that's what happens, like you come into people and you don't really give a fuck about your appearance. You come into people's environment and you could tell like they care so much about how they look. So then you'd be like, for a moment there, I start to live in that, and I'm like giving a fuck about how I look.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I do that too, where it's like most of the time I don't give a fuck about how I look. And then every so often, you get around some people and you catch it rubbing off on you. And you're like, oh shit, I'm giving a fuck right now.
Yeah, about some shit that it's not really me. It's like that, my cells are picking up on their thoughts.
My dreads was kind of a combination of both. It was like not giving a fuck, but also at the same time. I think it worked out. I'm happy with the decision so far.
Yeah, nah. I mean, you got to do whatever you got to do for your own sanity, man, and then everything else can follow that. It's just about order. I feel like people will be like, I want to have this, or I want to do this, or I want to have that. And I'm like, yeah, but the sanity should come first. And they're like, no, I don't give a fuck about none of that. I just want this $1,000,000.
Right, like yeah, like even people that'll sacrifice their sanity, not even for $1,000,000, they're sacrificing it just to eat and like just to get by and pay rent and all that shit.
Yeah, and it's like,
Can't help
man,
but feel bad for those people, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. You can like make a different choice at any time. There's so
yeah,
many options, there's so many avenues, and there's really a lot of people who are willing to, help out other people too. Those people usually just get busy getting fucked over by somebody taking advantage of them and not even utilizing the shit that they're giving. You know what I mean? Like I've been taken advantage of, but like in the worst way. They got it's like they took one thing, but they left all the fucking gold. They left all the good shit. Like
yeah, nah, people because people are so cheap with themselves. Their idea of themselves is so cheap, so petty.
yeah, someone would rather pick up a physical item that they can only carry with them for so long and maybe trade away, than like learn something that's like gonna be with you forever in your mind. Like you can have that forever and you can duplicate it. You can fucking trade it with someone else's knowledge or just tell somebody people would rather take an item that they can't even, you can't always hold on to that. I feel a lot of people anyways.
For sure, bro. It's
I'll take experience over anything.
take what over anything?
Experience.
Yeah, nah, it's crazy the way it is with people as far as like what they want to get out of people and what they want to get from life. It
The
just
value system.
yeah, like when how it goes though. Like when you start to realize like that you have um an opportunity to change, and you can say like, all right, well, as soon as you start to make a change, then you start to see the other ways you can change, or you can see a trajectory out of the mire, out of the bullshit that you're in.
Right. But
You
then the
know?
second you do that, it also sends out this weird fucking alarm, and everybody's like, oh, this dude's about to change. Like, he's about to walk out of our life. We need to fucking come pull this dude down?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's just and then it comes down to willpower, really, and like willing to let people go, really. And that's been a tough one for me over the years, is like letting people go. I usually don't let someone go until like I actually get hurt or something is like fucking slapping me in the face. Like, bro, the fuck you doing? I feel like I'm getting a lot better though at like letting things and people go.
Yeah, and if you just see things for what they are, I guess you could just say like, hey man, you're at this different point in the process. Maybe you're being parasitic. I'm gonna have to walk away from you, and if you're supposed to be in my life, you'll figure it out. But if I never tell you and I never let you know that you're wrong, then I really don't even give a fuck about you, really, because because like there's plenty of
Man,
times where you
that sounds so nice. That sounds so great in theory, but I've had that conversation and it's just, I get treated like, oh, so you're fucking totally right. And like, I need to do what you want or whatever. Get treated like being egotistical rather than rational.
yeah, but it was just times where somebody was mistreating me, and I should have told them like, yo, I can't deal with this. You know what I mean? Like, go fuck yourself.
Right.
If I really cared about them, I would let them know like this is what happens when you mistreat people. But then I didn't tell them, so then they just keep mistreating people, and then ultimately they're just hurting themselves even worse. So do I really give a fuck about them? Because I'm just letting them hurt themselves like vicariously through hurting others.
Yeah, exactly. And then the more you
I'm
care
not
about
checking them.
yourself, though, the more you end up caring about other people because you just know how. Like, but people don't like to be cared about the way you care about yourself. Like it's weird because they feel like you're being controlling, and it's like, I'm trying to set you free. I'm trying to like just give you some tools here, and like you can run with them or not. So you're busy running around with scissors, and I'm like, yo, pick up these tools. Run around with these for a bit.
Yeah, nah. I mean, but people's self-esteem fucked up, man.
But
I
then it's
mean,
my own ego. It's my own ego too, like avoiding my own problems, my own shit I got to work on, and even looking at anyone else or where anyone else is at.
yeah, it's kind of like, you know, I might be losing in my life, but maybe I can help them win, and
Yeah,
then it'll be
right.
like some type of feeling of winning somehow.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And it is because I've seen it. I've seen some people apply some shit for a minute and then it feels good, even though I'm at like a lower point than I have been just to exist in the realm to like put all the effort in there. And then it does feel good when it seems like it pays off, but it feels twice as worse when it doesn't. And it almost always seems to not really fully pay off. Like it always seems to kind of revert back because it was only your will doing it. And then as soon as you let go of that person or as soon as you get so much distance, it just reverts back to their original, path.
Yeah, yeah,
Everybody's trying to sell a path. That it's like, oh hey, I'm walking the path. This is the path. Hop on this path. Instead of like helping people find their own path.
nah, yeah, exactly. You know, it's like you gotta really you gotta exemplify the path because you
That's why
can't
I
talk
resonated
about
with you because you weren't like telling people like what path they needed to walk down. It was really just like you're sharing knowledge to help people find their own path. It just so happens that like everybody has a similar path. We're just at different places on it.
Yeah,
But
we
it
all.
doesn't
It's quantum. It's a
mean
quantum field.
yeah, it doesn't mean I'm ready to like go walk up next to somebody else and like I just I
Yeah.
have to get there.
If you're in eighth grade, you can help a fifth grader with homework, but you don't want to go back to fifth grade. You don't want to live in that.
There you go.
You know, it's like that's kind of where it's at. I feel like where it's like I could just stop my progression because if I help you with yours, then then somehow I'm okay. But it can work. It can work if you're progressing as you because like if you need to learn how to teach and they need to learn how to teach themselves or whatever, then and it works like that, then I feel like you can progress together and not be in the same chapter because you are kind of still reading the same book.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you're both gonna complete the book or whatever, get to that point, and it's kind of like no catching up. It's everybody's just going through the same shit from womb to tomb, like relative to where they're at, and nobody can get in the casket with you, so it's like you don't want to cheat yourself, hold yourself back, or try to rush forward. So it's the same thing. You want for others what you want for yourself. You know, if you're fucking suicidal, then you just want to, you're gonna want to hurt people, or you're gonna want to see people hurting themselves because it validates your own suicidal tendencies.
See, for me, it's the opposite. For me, what I experience, but I think it's all on perception too. I think like that's maybe how you'll see it. But for me, when I'm suicidal, I attract people who are also suicidal. But it like that like hurts me. That makes me sad, and I'm like, because it's always if I'm around someone, I probably care about you on some level. Um, but yeah, and then that makes me aware of where I'm at. I'm like, oh shit, I'm being suicidal right now. I just like that's never an option. So I never like sit there and think like, oh, I should kill myself. But I have been like so in my emotions that I'm like, man, I wish I just didn't fucking exist. Like that'd be cool. But yeah, I don't know. I notice when I feel like that way, I just see other people that are feeling the same way. Not
Yeah, and it's
necessarily.
man, so much of it is that, man, and so much of it
It
is
actually inspired me to help myself, which is like that's one of the best things that happened to me recently. Is a close friend of mine, told me some shit that they were going through and how depressed they were and how they wanted to kill themselves, and I was like, damn, like, and I cared about this person so much that I knew it was crucial in how I responded, and I'm like, damn, the only way I can help is if I just help myself. Because I realized real quickly that I was in that same sinking boat. So I just like just for me, suicide is never an option. But like for them, it was like a possible option. So that actually inspired me to start taking care of myself again. And yeah, I don't know. I was definitely going down and down and down and stuck in some sort of rut, but that helped me pull out of it, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
never.
that's why I appreciate people. Like I'll be present around people. Like I'll put my phone down, not look at it, whatever.
Yeah, nah. I mean, it's just wild, once it dawns on you, I'm like, what is the rallying point here? Whenever I connect with people, I'm like, what is the rallying point? Is it suicide? Because it's kind of like life or suicide. As much as I don't want to be black and white about things,
It
you
is
know,
though. It's usually suicide, just slow forms of it.
yeah, it's like there's a bunch of gray areas within the things, but there's black and whiteness. Like,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
still going one direction or the other.
yeah, it's like, is the suicide, drastic to where we're gonna really ruin our lives quickly, or is it gonna be just like weed, whatever, or is it life shit where it's like, small life things we might connect on a small life level where it's like, this person just likes to garden, they're just like the garden, they're a gardener. They might have a trash lifestyle in every other way, but our rallying point between me and them, where we connect, the point of attraction or the rallying point, I feel that is just the gardening, and it's just this one.
Yeah,
And
that's a
then
good point.
you
That's
know,
a good
so
point because I've
so
been connected with people who are like, if you look at them as a whole, it's like, damn, why do I fuck with this person? But there's always at least like one or two things where we connect with or something that's like, you know, useful. Like,
it's life, it's living, it's
yeah,
life. It's not. It's life is because like life is good. In a sense, life is good. It's everything else that's shit. That makes you feel. It's not the life end of it. The life and the living is progression and moving forward. You know what I mean? Life is always good. It's just the decay and the suicide that makes it painful. It's
and
never
the atrophy.
yeah, it's never the life that's bad. So I feel like yeah, sometimes the rallying point is yeah, like you just like the garden, or maybe you just like to whatever progress in another way, and then some people I guess is a more serious rallying point where it's like, all right, I'll have a baby with this person or whatever. But then there's for the most part, every time I meet people, I always like, what is the rallying point? Is it because we want to kill ourselves?
Did we or you talk before about like being attracted to people because of like things that like for instance, um, I find myself being attracted to girls who are more into like yoga and meditation and stuff like that because I I like to do it, but I don't do it that much. So to me, when someone that like practices it more regularly, for some reason, it's more attractive because some sense of like wanting that for myself.
Yeah, and you definitely want to connect from that as opposed to connecting from distraction, because that's
Right,
like
like
that's suicide shit, distraction
right,
from
like oh,
reality.
we like let's hang out. It's like that only goes so far.
Yeah, like if you just think about it, like what the word distract means is like to distract, like to not be on track.
Right, take off. Yeah,
So it's like life is like everything that's putting you on track to move forward, to evolve, and everything that's taking you off the track is distraction. You're losing traction, and like I feel like it's so many layers to that, to where it is kind of a scale from distraction to traction. Like I guess but yeah, if you're doing yoga with the chick, you don't have to agree with her whole life. You know what I mean? To do the yoga and to be like appropriated, like. But for me, I'm silly. Like I'm like, look, we connect like this. We should probably have sex too. You know what I mean? I'm terrible. I'm like, well, we both like this. We both like the garden, so we should probably put my dick in your body. Like, you know, you know what I mean? I just get
that's how
sick.
part of me wants to be, but like it don't work out like that. So
Yeah, I know, man. Because it's just like one thing leads to another. It might be a life giving thing, like you said. I connect with this person on a basis of gardening or on a basis of yoga, and then like I'm trying to do way more than that, and it's not appropriated. Like, like they say platonic relationships or whatever. I don't really like Plato, but platonic relationships is like, all right, I do this with this girl, and it's just this, it's just yoga, or it's just business or whatever, and it's appropriated and it supports life. But then it's like, I want more. I want to do more, and it's like I feel like the more that you want to do more, you get less, and that's like the suicidal shit or whatever, like, or the detraction or distraction is trying to do more than what's appropriate. Like,
I think it stems from a lack of community because like we're trying to like a lot of people try to make one person everybody. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like they want them to be their sexual partner, they want them to be their fucking therapist, their health instructor, their like diet consultant. Like they want them to do everything, be everything.
yeah, and it's just like the more that you're focused on the more, or trying to have more, the more that you're not utilizing what's there and what's in reality, and that's how the lack gets created. Because now the more you stay present, the more that you gonna have opportunities to stay present. You stay present, and then you're like, oh shit, opportunity. Oh shit, I might as well stay present. I might as well stay present through the opportunity. Execute the opportunity. Go through the shit. But the more that you like distract, or the more that you're like, there's not enough here, it's like you're gonna create less and less and less. It's like the greater your ideals, the lower the results. And it's because it's like you're not okay with what's there. It's like they say that saying, right? How could you be happier with more if you're not happy with what you got?
Yeah, that's a
And
good one. I haven't heard that much, but I have heard it in the past.
yeah, so it's like you got to learn how to realize what you got. Like they say, if you want to get rich quick, count your blessings or whatever. It's
Well,
like
the person that's not happy with what they got, even if they were given more, they wouldn't even see it. They wouldn't value it, so it wouldn't matter.
I
I'd
feel like it
like,
would
go
just amplify
get
it.
more. Huh?
It would just amplify it. It's like, here you go. Here goes a house. You're like, look, I'm not happy with this house. I want a country.
Yeah, they'd have more. They'd find more lack.
Yeah, then you get a fucking country, and you're like, I want the world. It's not enough, and it just keeps going like that. Like, it's never gonna stop. Like, you're gonna continue to perpetuate lack because you're just operating from that mindset. You're operating from that there isn't enough. I need more. Like, wanting more is having less, and
Yeah, that
don't.
man saying has like done so much. Like for me, is like wanting more, or like what's it called? More, less is more, and stuff.
Yeah.
That can be applied in so many ways, and in so many areas of life. It's like always true.
Yeah, and it's like it's there's always an abundance in some way. It's just like you gotta
Yeah,
really be present. You gotta really be present, and then like throughout all areas of your life. Like, if your life seems mundane, then you're obviously not dreaming. You're not connecting with your dreams enough. The more you can connect with your dreams, then it's almost like a relief. Like, you don't have to be so concerned and overwhelmed with this life, where, you know what I mean? Like, if you have your dreams, then you're like, I'm not really trapped in this. I'm not really in prison. I got
I've
I
seen,
got unlimited.
I think I know what you mean because I've talked to people who like dream all the time, and I never remember my dreams basically ever. And but yet these people who are dreaming all the time, they're worried about all this shit in waking life that they have no control over. And I'm thinking like, wow, but you got this nice escape in your dreams and stuff, and you could like harness that. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. You just gotta be present then, so that you could be like, present now, in a sense. Like, if you live out your life and you're using your life to progress and move forward, to gain traction, to move forward, then your dreams are going to be like that too. You know what I mean? But if you're just distracting in your life, then your dreams are you're just going to probably just be distracted in your dreams too. You're just going to be like, Oh man, I rather, I'm a manifest a Ferrari in my dreams where it's like, yeah,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
you
And
could
I think that's why my body doesn't let me remember my dreams, because I got too much I need to do on myself here, and I would definitely get lost in my dreams if because I would gain control over them pretty quickly and then just get lost there.
yeah, you probably wouldn't not want to come back.
Nah, I'd be so distracted. It'd be even more distracting than anything that could be distracting here. But I'd
It's
probably
like
get bored of it pretty quickly.
it's like if you're in your dreams and you're manifesting a Ferrari, but you could fly in the dreams. It's like,
Why would you get the Ferrari?
yeah, why are you doing this? So it's
Yeah,
like
why
kind of
you? Yeah, exactly. Why are you wanting things for for like a limitation that you don't have anymore?
yeah, and that's kind of like what it is like in waking life. Where you're like, you're taking on other people's limitations and identity based on like the covetousness, like where you're just like, I want what they want, or if I don't want what they want, then I must not be valid. People look at you crazy like, hey, what, you don't want to be a billionaire, you don't want the Ferraris, you don't want that. You're like, yo, it's not that I don't want it, it's just like I gotta do what makes sense for me, and then maybe I will get to a point where I'm like, okay, it makes sense to get the Ferrari, but like I can't be thinking about a Ferrari right now, and I'm emotionally dysfunctional. Like,
That's funny, because like to bring that down to like a way smaller level, it made me think of when people be like, "You don't want to hit this blunt," and I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." And they're like, "What?" Looking at me like I'm crazy, like denying a fucking free blunt because they rolled it or whatever. I'm like, "Nah, dude. Like I can't do the tobacco." But people are just like, "What? You don't want this shit?" I'm like, "Nope."
yeah, and then yeah, because it's crazy because then they got to see like, man, well, why don't he want it? Why don't he want?
Right.
Why is he content with not having that?
Well, actually, one of the first things that happened that was actually the most pivotal, I think, was like I had this girlfriend, my first girlfriend, and she cheated on me. And then I told the dude I want to talk to him, and he thought, we're going to have some words or maybe fight. And I said, hey, man, thank you. You did me a favor. You got me out of that situation. And like, I think that says a lot.
Yeah,
He was, he did not expect that at all. He was like, what? Like, you
people don't want to win, man. People be just not trying to lose. They're not even trying to win. They just
see,
don't want to lose.
found out how I won. I was like, yo, I won because I lost in a sense, but I also won.
Yeah, nah. I mean, like that's how I feel. Like the only time that I ever wanted to lose is when I lost sight of what winning really was for me, because I'm trying to win somebody else's like somebody else's shit.
When you're caught up in something else now, that you're like, oh fuck, I gotta lose to get out of this race. I can't just quit the race. I gotta, you know what I mean? It's gotta end.
Yeah, and like your wins become losses because you're like, I shouldn't be satisfied with this, because LeBron wouldn't be satisfied with this. You're like, man, look, he got his own problems. I can't be thinking about what a win is relative to him.
And
His loss his
more
loss
work win
relative.
is.
Huh?
I think about how much more work that win is too. Like the losses that are actually wins are way better because that's like the less is more.
Yeah, like as soon as you can see it in a different way, you need perspective. You got to step back. But if you stay in that identity, you'll never step back. If you stay like, man, my wins don't mean nothing because they don't match a win for someone else's life,
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
then you're not gonna appreciate none of your wins. So how you gonna appreciate a bigger win relative to you?
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, because I've met a lot of people who like have a lot of cool skills and cool like things about them, but they don't even like acknowledge them or like I don't know. People just want to focus on like
Lack.
negative thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
lack. I like that better than negative, because negative is more of like a perceptual, like what the fuck is the word I'm looking for? But it's more based on perception, but lack is just more of like a defined.
yeah, exactly. It is just the lack. You can't. Life is you're just gonna give off an ungrateful charge. Life is just that's how you communicate with life. Like, I'm ungrateful. I don't appreciate none of this shit because it's not.
I know I can't be around people who say, and I just said it, is just I can't, when they're just constantly like, I can't. And I'm like, bro, you're starting to wear me down and make me think I can't for a second. Like,
Yeah, and it just like it really is infectious. It really is.
yeah,
Like,
limiting beliefs.
yeah, it's like Inception.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
find myself disassociating when people do that, like on like a minor level. Like I kind of, I'll start, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of disassociate to a degree when people start saying that shit.
yeah. No, it's like it's so much of it is like you got to ask people like, is it a can't or you just won't? Is it you
It'll
won't
be
do it?
something stupid. It'll be something stupid of like, oh, I can't drive a standard, and I'm like, well, you just never done it. You could. It's easy. And they're like, no, I can't. I can't. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I don't want to talk to you anymore about this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Because it's not that you can't; it's just that you won't apply your will. It's not,
yeah,
so much stuff. It's like it's not that you can't; it's that you won't.
yeah. Or people say to me like, oh, you're vegan. Like, oh, I can't do that. Like, I wish I could. I just can't. I'm like, you won't. I'm like,
Yeah,
this is different.
yeah. Like you won't give yourself that perspective. So don't tell me that you can't do it. Just say that you won't.
Right. And that's actually a good way to word it. Is just like, hey, give yourself that perspective. Like, do it for enough time that you gain a new perspective, and then maybe go back. If you like how you were before, go back. Me,
Yeah,
I did that. I got the perspective, and I liked myself better now than before. So that's where I'm at now. That's why I continue to do the things I do, or don't do the things I used to. Yeah.
yeah. Whatever helps you communicate with yourself better, you're gonna enjoy being yourself or just being. You know what I mean? So that's all that matters, really. Like it's not like what does it matter if I win based on somebody else's values? It's not even a
Yeah.
win.
Right. Yeah. Like if a bunch of people are like all excited for you, but you couldn't give a shit. Mm.
Yeah, like because you're just like I don't even enjoy this shit, but I know you guys based on the way
Dude,
your self esteem is set up. You think that if you were me that you would enjoy it.
a lot of actors seem that way. Like everyone's all pumped about like the shit that these actors are doing, and the actors are just like, meh, kind of. Like
Yeah,
the ones that seem more real about it, like that don't go along with the like, oh yeah, fucking, you know what I mean? They're just like, hey, I do this, and then it's none of my business anymore. Like it's like, I don't know.
yeah,
Shit,
yeah.
we're working up on 2 hours here, almost. We're at hour 47 minutes.
Yeah, man. Shit. I guess that's a solid cast right there.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have to go through and read Spotify's terms and shit just to see if anything we talked about was not supposed to be or whatever. But either way, I'll get a copy of this to you if you want, so you can upload it too.
Yeah, I need it for the tube, man. I mean, if you could throw it up on the tube, and then I'll grab it off the tube. So, because
Okay,
if
yeah, I
you
got
if you upload it to YouTube, if you send me the file, it'd be a huge file. But if you upload it to YouTube and then I steal it with like an MP4 converter site, then it's gonna be like 70 megabytes. It won't even be long, so I can upload it in like a minute.
All right, I got what you're saying. Yeah. I'm not at my laptop right now though, so I don't have my editing shit. Well, no, I should be able to edit this. I don't know. I'll figure something out and I'll send it to you.
Where yeah, I mean, if you just throw
Was
it up,
was
if you
there
just tell me,
anything like you said you were writing notes? Was there anything that like we didn't touch on?
no, that's cool. I mean, like as long as you could, I guess, just if you just put a picture up and make it a slideshow like how you always do. I don't give a fuck how you edit it. You know
Right.
what I mean? Yeah, you just throw it up there. But yeah, I think we're good.
Did we touch on everything you had notes on?
Yeah, I mean, I figured, I figured we were just gonna go in on the abortion thing, but that's pretty much it. You just
Yeah,
control
we
yourself.
just went everywhere because accountability just has to do with all of life, and you can't talk about literally can't talk about one thing without just going in on everything.
Yeah, You got to give it perspective, you know, so that people can see the kaleidoscopic view.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate it. I think it was a good conversation for sure.
Yeah, I think people need this for sure.
Definitely. And I think we should do some more because I don't know. We gotta hammer more of these dudes of like, dude, stop fucking ejaculating and then acting like, oh, why am I having a fucking kid type shit.
Yeah, exactly. People love these though, man. One dude hit me up yesterday. He was like, "Yo, you got to keep doing this shit with my man from Massachusetts." So you got to do these.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Ah, cool. That's good to hear.
yeah, man. So let me know what's up with that, man. I can't wait to put this one up.
All right, we'll do.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you.
Peace.
All right.